A lot of people assume that to study theology you need to be religious. And they say, oh, that's really interesting. What sort of stuff are you studying? And it's like, robots and religion, really? And then there's normally a perplexed face. How do you do robots and religion together? Did I hear you right? And it's basically linking them by the idea of creation. So my work looks at Genesis and the idea that God created humans in his image. And also there's the idea with robots, we are creating a new creature that wasn't created by God. But I think sometimes people are quite reluctant to the idea that there's still a resonant sense of religion and theology and culture. There are a lot of hurdles to face. I went to a robot exhibition in Zurich in my first year of my PhD, and they have all these kind of weird and wonderful robots. I came across some South Asian robots, and they were designed to care for the elderly population. I remember looking at them thinking I would not let my grandparents anywhere near these things. It looks like it would just kind of go berserk and try to destroy the house in an instant. I'm not going to pretend that I don't have fears about robots taking over as well, but studying what I study lets me kind of question those fears, and I realised some of the dimensions that sort of underwrite those fears. My first conference that I went to was a technology conference, and I was part of the sort of philosophy panel at the end of the sessions. One of the questions I got after I gave my paper, someone asked me to clarify the point of the research. They didn't understand the kind of arguments that I was trying to make or the connections that I was trying to make. I didn't have an answer prepared for that question because I thought it was obvious from the paper that I'd given. For them to give a different perspective on it was an interesting way of looking at the different ways that your research is appropriated and understood by different communities. I had this kind of optimistic idea that I could be the third-party observer. One of the things that Donna Haraway, who writes a lot about cyborgs, one of the things that she said, you can't be this third-party observer. And I think applying that to my own life, I kind of realised these things really do impact me. And it was at that point where I started applying the questions that I was asking about sci-fi, about what it means to be human, about how that impacts theology, and about my own relation to religion and theology. I'm now at this point where I'm investing myself in my research, and I'm constantly applying my own biases and thought processes in a less removed and academic way, but in a more kind of embedded and kind of involved kind of way. So it's definitely changed me as a person, as an academic, as a human.